Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Token Games Podcast. I'm your host and referee, Zach Stad Pearson. And today I'm joined by the tallest of the free men, one Corey Troy of House Virginia.
Howdy, how you all doing?
Who somehow has a head cold that makes him sound even more like a sexy cowboy. And later on we'll be joined by Romulus, but as you know, due to irregular hours being still in the military, whereas I am out, he's a little bit tired right now, but don't worry. Romulus will be in full effect, also known as Michael Dat Hill, because I know I don't say his alias a lot. All right, let's get into them topics. Topic 1. The loot box resistance the loot box resistance has ascended to a new level of bullshit. Yes, I said bullshit. CSGO, Counter-Strike Go, has installed a new feature they call X-ray vision for their loot box system in lieu of trouble that the mechanics gets into. Now, the way this system works is basically you get to see what's inside of a loot box before you open it, so you can choose not to open it. Which I'm sure, if you stop and think about it, is just another form of circumvention, meaning that you're trying to get around some form of ruling, whether it's in a legal sense or in general. I'm just going to be blunt. Do you think this is a good enough lie, or do they need to do a better job at trying to disguise what they're doing? Let's be honest, a lot of countries are waking up. And topic 2. The next generation of consoles is fast approaching, or depending on how you look at it, it started with the Switch, which is going back to cartridge. Do you think that future installments of video game systems will completely ditch the CD in favor of a cartridge method? If you stop to think about it, a lot of games, even after they go into distribution, downloaded pieces of themselves onto systems to avoid high levels of loading once you stick them in, aka the install. And small cartridges are a lot easier to produce nowadays, especially with the level of storage they're looking to get into. Or alternatively, do you think that we're going to transition into a new type of format, if not continue the CD on into the future? I'm not talking about PlayStation 5 and an Xbox. I'm thinking PlayStation 7, and something along those lines. Like, I'm talking future, not what's getting ready to happen around the corner. I just want to make that distinction because we've talked about future formats a couple times, and, we usually only go to the next systems and not further. Topic 3. We've already learned that with very small installations of the human brain that we could use our minds to control or be a controller for pretty much any electronic device man has ever come up with. Hey, Corey, if you can fix the typos on 3 for me, please. Please and thank you. However, do you think there may come a time when there are headsets no longer utilize a controller because we can utilize electronic devices meant to respond to our thoughts, much like what Tesla is currently working on? I'm also curious if you think it would be practical. And of course, topic 4. Anime video games have a reputation eerily similar in most cases to the current movie game stereotype of being quick cash cow with very little thought and effort put into them. One of the few expectations being the occasional Namco Bandai game. Do you think there is a way to remove the stigma associated with licensed anime games when it comes to their quality and replayability? I know Hill's going to love that question. Topic 5. Given the incomplete nature and also the length of the book series Game of Thrones, or rather A Song of Ice and Fire, do you think it would translate well into a video game? Also, what part of that Song and Ice and Fire series would you like to see, and in what form of a video game? All right, Corey, you good?
Yeah, I think I'm good.
All right, go ahead then.
For topic 1, the question is, can I reset the loot box until I see what I can get, or do I have to continuously also pay for the X-ray vision?
You have to
in the loot box.
You have to continuously get new loot boxes in order to look at them.
Yeah, also it's... Yeah, I still think they're still trying to make their money from it. I don't think they're going to give up on this until eventually they're told you have to get rid of everything loot box related. I don't think it's the best way to get around it, but for topic 2, sorry, that's it. Topic 2, I can see with like the PlayStation 6 or whatever the next Xbox is, but to me, I found it. I mean, like if they go cartridges or whatever, they get rid of like the disc tray and like the next generation. I feel like PlayStation's always been known to be the all-in-one like DVD player and video game console thing. I feel like it would just be weird if there was like one generation of PlayStation that didn't have like a Blu-ray player attached to it.
I'm inclined to agree, but I got a question for you because I'm not sure about this because it's been a while. Okay, so I know that even though they both play Blu-rays, when they made the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 4 Pro, neither of them can read or play 4K Blu-rays, but they can both play 1080 Blu-rays, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I was curious because I have a 4K Blu-ray player, so I almost never use the Blu-ray feature, but I was curious. Continue.
Okay. I mean, that's really like the thing is like when we get to that generation, I mean, we're probably all going to just be streaming everything. It's just going to be weird that we'll have consoles that just won't play DVDs anymore. Because I thought that was just a really big thing for PlayStation on the PlayStation 2 back in the day. So it's just going to be weird that one day it just won't be a thing. For topic 3, the reality headset control with our brain thing. I don't know too much about it. Tesla. Oh wait, is that the thing with the monkey test subject thing not too long ago?
Well, just to remind you, because it's weird. I brought up this subject, or at least the demonstration, but we didn't do shit with it for like 2 or 3 months. Long story short, Tesla is working on and succeeded in creating, but it hasn't gone commercial to my knowledge, a system of diodes or nodes or whatever that can detect brain signals and installing them like behind your ear or something. And what it'll do is it'll transfer your thoughts into electronic action, like turning something on, turning something off, that kind of thing.
A universal remote for your head.
Quite literally. I'll try to find the video again later.
I'm picturing like Watch Dogs, but you're just controlling everything with your head. Like you're like Professor X from like X-Men, but you're just like turning everything on, turning everything off. If I just look up. Yeah, it's a possibility. I don't know if I see it in like the next 10 years, or I mean, at some. I feel like it'd probably happen if consoles go out of, like we just have like last gen. I don't know if I see it after that. Like if I don't know if consoles will ever see that, but
okay, I found it. I'm gonna send you a link.
All right, cool. Topic 4. Anime games are kind of just niche, pretty niche. I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, you're absolutely right. Unless it's some rare exceptions like Dragon Ball.
I feel like that just gives them like the idea, like, okay, we can be cheap. We're not gonna make a lot of money this time, so we'll just update the gameplay just slightly. We'll add a new campaign. Not too much money. I remember the Naruto games, Ninja Storms.
God,
like
they just pissed.
Yeah,
they never stopped coming out. It was continuous over and over. It was like Madden almost.
It's like 7 Ninja Storms. I was like, the first one was pretty cool, and then like there was one where it was just like a filler campaign, and I was just I'm stopping. I like got up to I think the second one, and I was just like, this is getting ridiculous. I'll wait until the franchises, the Shippuden's over, and maybe I'll play the last one.
That's exactly what I said. I got like the first one, but then when I realized, wait a minute, these things are gonna come out every 5 seconds, so it may take a long amount of time before we get dramatic improvements on like basic broken shit. I was just like, okay, these games are beautiful and fun to look at, but They're coming out too frequently to have that much detail and that many characters. So I'm gonna wait till they think they're at the end of it, or I'm only gonna do one per system.
Yeah, what was it? The last one we had? No, not the Road to Boruto one, but the Ultimate Ninja Storm 4, I think it was.
The one where every single age was playable.
Yeah, and it had like the last arc of the story in it. That one was beautiful, but I could tell where they were just a slight bit cheap, where they couldn't just include the whole every arc of Naruto. I mean, I imagine that would take up a lot of space, but I mean the cutscenes were fucking gorgeous from what I saw. But I think it's just it feels like they have the right to just be like cheaper, because it's just they're not going to sell as well as every other game. So that I feel like that just gives them the idea that we can do that. I mean, I don't know. I think until anime games get a lot more popular, I feel like that won't really until they start selling 3 million copies, 4 million copies. I feel like the stigma of their quality and replayability will stay about the same. Topic 5 for Game of Thrones. I was talking to my friend about this. I thought Game of Thrones would work better as a movie, but if Game of Thrones were to be like a video game, I think it could translate well. I know Telltale tried to do it, and it was like a side story with 3 families or something. I don't think it ended, but it also wasn't that great from what I heard. Game of Thrones did make an RPG, and that one wasn't also good. I don't know. It depends. I feel like maybe it would work better if they just focused on one family. Maybe I don't know. Maybe one of the, I don't want to say live service games.
Oh God, please don't.
What if it was like Elder Scrolls, the MMO, where you pick which alliance you want to be a part of? But I mean, if they're gonna try and tell the stories, I don't know, because I mean, books can be linear, and I feel like people like having a choice. Sometimes I don't know.
Okay.
I can't really think of a style that would work. I would say RPG, what was that one game? I don't know. I don't want to say God of War. That's not right. There's that one multiplayer game, Chivalry. I'd picture an RPG or an open world game that was Chivalry, but also had a story campaign tied to it. I don't know. I can't really think of a good thing for Game of Thrones.
Okay. All right, Hill, you want to go next, or do a few things need clarification?
No, I'm good. Let me just skim right.
All right, and Corey, while you're there, feel free to enjoy the Tesla brain chip links.
Sure.
It's actually not as scary as you might think. I was thinking there would be a socket. I think that's the most common stereotype about brain chips, but nah, it's so under your skin that you won't even notice it half the time.
Yeah, I don't want that weird Matrix shit where they're plugging in.
Oh God, that looks so scary every time I saw it. All right, Hill, you ready?
Yeah, just crash course it through topic 3 real quick, and I can go through everything else.
Okay, so Tesla started working on an interface specifically for the brain. Now, I brought this up maybe 3 or 4 months ago, but I left it alone because, since this is technically centered around, popular entertainment media culture or transmedia entertainment stuff, that wouldn't really count. Yes, there are possible applications within media, but since there aren't any right now, we couldn't really bring it up. But long story short, basically Tesla has found a way to use the human brain as almost like a Bluetooth connection to be able to utilize any electronic device damn near. And it's entirely, for lack of a better term, minute. And when I say minute, I mean damn near nano levels of stuff. So that way it doesn't interfere with your daily life. And, you won't have to worry about no weird feedback signals or anything like that, yada, yada, yada. So, with that being said, it's basically asking the question of, do you think one day we may say fuck it when it comes to virtual reality controllers and just have a wireless hookup that allows you to utilize this thing, while you're playing it, or in general playing any video games? Do you think that one day we're going to be using our brains as the controller, because the quickest reflex you can get is your own thought? Or do you think that is considered too invasive, or there may be some other factors that prevent it from being applicable in VR and traditional video gaming? That's pretty much topic 3.
All right, let's do this. Topic 1, the whole, I can just show you what's in the box before you buy in the box. It's really not going to get around the fact that since people can now see what they're buying, they're still going to fucking cash grab it until they say, I can see what's in the box. And that still probably won't allude to the chance of getting the item. So they're really trying to beat around the bush. If it's not gambling, because you can see what you can win. I can see what I could fucking win on the lines of the fucking slot machines. That still don't mean I'm gonna get all 7s in a row. Fucking asshole. So that's what they're trying to do. They're just trying to really drag out the system before they say, all right, fuck your bullshit. Give everybody what they want, or at least make it accessible to buy off the rip, instead of, you want that new skin, you gotta roll for it. And then topic 2, I don't see us really getting rid of CDs, because right now, I don't know, because I didn't hear too much about the PS5 and the Scarlet, because I know when the Switch came out, Nintendo just said, forgo CD shipping, all the cases you lose, we're just gonna give you like another fucking chip to put in there. Now, I wouldn't put it past Sony, because they did that with the fucking PSP and the Vitas.
Yeah.
So them tapping into that technology, I can see them doing for sure, but I haven't seen any I don't know if Microsoft could do that. I mean, true, they are doing the thing with the Stadia, but that doesn't coincide for a whole console. That's just like another fucking Steam-like thing where it's like, okay, here you go. And then the whole, in the future, we don't have to touch a controller to play a game. That just seems too far-fetched to me. Because that is fucking dot hack levels of fucking ingenuity. I don't think we're at that point where a single AI is gonna cause people to go in massive comas yet, so we ain't that far yet. We're getting there. We're at SAO level where somebody's gonna be a fucking dickhead and melt our brains. So we're not at the level.
Dude, funny you mention that.
AI is gonna kill us.
It's funny you mention that. I don't know if you see my literally most recent Facebook post, and this kind of creeps me out, bro. But so I just learned that, you know how even though we can't hear them as humans, our bodies can still react to supersonic and subsonic audio frequencies. Okay, so any frequency lower than 20 hertz can make humans hallucinate, feel depression, and sweat even when you're cold. Because apparently 19 hertz and 20 hertz in particular can literally vibrate the human eye and you don't even notice it. Oh, that is so creepy.
Insane.
It'll drive you that way.
And now, the topic I've been waiting for all this week.
Oh, shit.
The video games. As you know, for mad times, fucking video game anime games have been a cornerstone of the market for a shit ton of times. Whether the anime is popular or not, it will get a game.
Especially
Fucking
Dragon Ball.
One Piece Pirate Royal, or whatever those games are called. The fucking Dragon Ball Z games from the Budokai games, Burst Limit, Xenoverse, Fighters, the new Kakarot game coming out.
I'm almost scared to touch that one.
Ultimate Ninja Storm, Ultimate Ninja Storm Generations, Road, Naruto, Boruto, Shinobi Strikers, fucking Black Clover, Jump Force, and all the other games in between. Those are for sure just mad cash grab, because when your anime gets popular, they want to shill it between app games, fucking online games, card games, slot machines, fucking... I remember seeing this post on Twitter about a Madoka Magica slot machine game. That was jarring.
I'd say more depressing than anything.
Because there's also that Super Dragon Ball Heroes card game we can't play unless you have like the weird new one for the Switch. So all of these games are just gonna come out. There's like hardly any thought for some of them. All the other ones that actually take time, like that fucking My Hero One Justice, the One Punch Man game, they just look horrible. But they always try to do their best with the Dragon Ball Z Naruto games because they always got to shell out those transformations and fucking attacks.
Oh yeah, there's a bit of a weird story behind that. Okay, so it's a story as old as time. We all know Shonen Jump treats the people that make them the money like literal slaves, and I genuinely mean that. They don't even care if they work them to death at all in the slightest. That's why the ending of Bleach was so terrible, because he made the mistake of back talking before he got as big, if not bigger than stuff like Yu Yu Hakusho, Dragon Ball, One Piece, blah, 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 blah. But that I digress. So Toei Animation, which has the licensing to all of Dragon Ball media, not just licensing and distribution of the cartoon shows or animation shows, but they tell people that if you do not make a title within 12 months after the time we allowed you to make a game or something like that, they actually can revoke it. But it's stupid because they don't have to do that, because they could literally just do a shared license. But they choose to do that. And it's fucking weird. So yeah, that's why those situations are like that. But everybody else, it might just be because they got a low budget.
Ain't no way any of these things should get a low budget considering how popular a lot of these animes have become.
I'm literally going to go look up how much money Dragon Ball made last year. Be right back.
Alright.
Y'all can still talking shit.
And then the Bleacher lines of book series can talk. Alright, so Game of Thrones, I only seen the season when the whole entire set was just dark until she lit the fire and they ran in and died to everybody. So trying to give my best opinion on how it would translate, I don't know, because trying to say it would translate for a show would be, well, I already felt that. Movie, maybe, because then if it did the movie thing, I think it'd be more along the Digimon Try. And it was good, but not as great as it could be, so I pass on that. The video game, sure, just like, if it was gonna be a video game, it'd be more like, I would imagine it more like a fucking Skyrim type thing, because there's so much shit going on. Then you could actually expand on the characters that weren't introduced and were introduced, and all the different plot points that have transpired. But if you did that, it'd be just all over the place. And right now, if I was gonna think of a chapter game, my mind immediately just goes to like a fucking Lego game where they just like show pictures to expedite the plot and make it better. So I have fucking no idea how to really convey that plot of Game of Thrones, because everything it just about it just feels incomplete. As the show's ending was just less than wanted to be, because you hear the bells and then you think, you know what, I'm gonna kill them all, but like a justified killing would have been just the tower and the sister, because the tower just could collapse on all of them. And it's like, oh, that's it, they're dead now. Then you killed everybody and everything in King's Landing. I'm like, but why though? They all surrendered, and
Let me just say, I don't know if anyone kept count, but can we all just agree that that was the biggest dick move of 2019? That entire episode was the biggest dick move in all of history of that year.
yes.
So far.
Dude, no. Don't even try.
Got 2 months left.
Yeah, we still got 2 months left and nothing's stopping you from hitting the green icon. Don't act like something's going to top that. The only thing that could possibly top that is if Trump escapes impeachment. But I mean, literally the entire CIA and most of Congress are up your ass, and no one's ever been that lucky.
True that.
Mm-hmm.
Continue.
But I gotta give props to my boy for that fucking spear transition, to throw that straight in that guy's chest. That whole movement after she started attacking was beautiful.
Like, that was some straight up 300 Spartan shit.
My man was ready to fuck shit up.
Grey Worm.
But yeah, I don't see that being able to be translated to any form of media after everything. That just feels like you could throw a fucking cement block through these plot holes.
Sounds about right.
Oh man. Well, officer, you late, so I'm gonna go next. Just as a reminder, I know you weren't brought up to speed, at least I don't think. After this, we're gonna go directly into glitch rant, and unfortunately, Corey's gonna have to step out. But when we go into glitch rant, guys, get your food and shit ready, because I don't know how long that's gonna run for, but the goal is to basically make it entertaining. So if you don't like being interrupted for comedic purposes, just say so now. But the goal isn't to, make it a debate-ish or topical conversation like this. It's just for shits and giggles and ranting. I'm sticking with that name. Though, Glitch Rant. And while you're going and doing your topics, I'm going to order me a pizza. I'm thinking maybe gyro and bacon or gyro and shrimp.
So I'm up next?
Do you know what the topics are? Are you good? You want to wait?
Yeah, I see him.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, go ahead. I'm going to order a pizza.
Alright, so topic 1. I'm just going to be blunt. No, it's not enough. If anything, it might make things kind of worse, to be honest. So, they should not be falling for that bullshit. They definitely should not be falling for that bullshit. Because this is basically akin to, say, someone looking at one of those charts for like blackjack. Or, okay, so if you get this, you should do this. It doesn't change the fact that it's gambling. It just means that you better know the odds. Or, yeah, you know the odds better. Sorry. So, continue resisting. That shit's, it's still gambling. Doesn't matter if they introduce them. Hey, you can find out what's in it first. No. Just no. Alright. Topic 2. I think we might, I think Nintendo's probably gonna stick with the cartridges. But for the likes of PlayStation and Xbox, I think they might just straight up switch over to, hey, it's all, they might go the way of just straight up all digital. Because I don't really see them, either of them, really doing the whole cartridge thing, to be honest. Then again, I can't really say I know much about alternative mediums that they could use for physical copies of games, but they might surprise me. But for now, until I know more, I'm just gonna go with, yeah, Nintendo's gonna keep the cartridges, which, hey, it's working well for them. And here's hoping they continue to coat them with that, apparently some substance that's super fucking nasty, because you don't want kids, sucking on your cartridges, or worse, swallowing them. Let's see here. Topic 3. Ooh, this one is pretty cool, actually. I think probably within our lifetime, we will have a device that will allow us to control a game just by thinking. Because I remember a while back, I think it was a couple days ago actually, I saw an article of this guy who was like, I think it was quadriplegic. He got a harness that is basically controlled through brainwaves. And with that, he was able to move around, something that he'd previously, been unable to do. That shit is fucking awesome. And if we're getting that kind of stuff now, shit, just think maybe 15, 20 years down the line, just imagine what we'll have then. That's a cool shit of science that I look forward to. And I think probably in another 15, 20 years, we could definitely have controllers that respond just to, thoughts and the like. Alrighty. Let's see. As for topic 4, I think really the best way to get out of them being associated with, these are shitty cash-in games, is, make a bunch of good ones. Actually put forth, good, decent budget for them, and get pretty good teams together to make really good games. I mean, I know that might be kind of lol duh, but it's pretty sure it's probably gonna work out. And well, even aside from that, there's still, as was previously stated, there's still actually a few legit good anime games out there. While I personally haven't played them, I've heard, the Naruto games are actually pretty decent. Hell, some even, pretty good. That and, as I double check here real quick, Dragon Ball got Toei over $1 billion last year.
Yeah, I looked it up and dropped it in the chat.
That's what I'm looking at here. Yeah, $1 billion. That it makes sense that there's a lot of pretty good Dragon Ball games out there, because it is a big moneymaker. And admittedly, though, that also brings a possible problem. Some of these games, I mean, they might not have the resources to go here. Take a bunch of money and make us a really high quality, good game. Some of them might not have the money to do that, which of course means, well, they just need to focus on the games that, for the intellectual properties that do have the cash to just throw at these game companies and go, hey, make a game and make sure they're good, and slowly but steadily build up the reputation of anime games, and hell, maybe then there'll be the various IPs will have a better chance. Just, I mean, some might not be all that fond of following in the coattails of larger properties, but hey, it'll make them money. And as for replayability, well, that largely depends on the type of game you're making. Like, for example, shooters, I'll be honest, most of the replayability for those, at least for me, comes from either playing the game with someone new who hasn't played it before, for, multiplayer shooters, or from, well, like online multiplayer. Which, now that I think about it, a lot of shooters these days focus almost entirely on the online multiplayer and have basically gotten rid of any, campaign mode. Which, I'll be honest, I'm not really all that fond of that. It really shouldn't take too much effort to go and put a campaign mode in, but that's drifting off topic here. As for adding replayability to these various anime games, maybe, have several different characters' stories in the game. Like, say, you're going for something like, I don't know, Full Metal Alchemist. Maybe...
How did I know he was going to say that?
Because 2 days ago was Full Metal Alchemist Day. But anyway...
Oh my God. Yo, kill me with that shit. It's like May the 4th, but less important.
Yeah. Anyway, maybe have it where, you go through, say, kind of like an action RPG, and once you get to the end of it, you unlock additional characters to play through as. That would be a way to add replayability. Is when you beat the game with one character, you unlock more characters. And maybe, more story kind of stuff. Of course, the first playthrough shouldn't be, lacking in story to make it so that, oh, hey, we can make up for that with the other stories. No. Have yourself a complete story with the first playthrough, and the other ones should just add on to that. But other than that, can't really think of too much else. So I'm gonna move on to topic 5. I believe there was mention of something like Skyrim. And I was thinking something in a similar vein to that, a sort of open world game. Though obviously covering the entirety of Westeros that'd be a bit much. Even, the Elder Scrolls only cover one region per game. Unless you're talking about Elder Scrolls Online, but that's a different beast altogether. So I'm thinking maybe have it set in the north, in the lands of the Starks, and an open world game set in the north, land of the Starks. Maybe you're playing as, I don't know, Jon Snow. I think that'd be kind of interesting. But other than that, I remember seeing quite a lot of mods for various various grand strategy games that go, hey, let's do like a full conversion mod to make this. Oh yeah, now this is basically Westeros you're playing in. Maybe they should just make a grand strategy game set on the I believe Westeros was the name of the continent. Yeah.
Yeah, Westeros is the name of the continent. There's other places too.
So maybe have it where it takes place on that world. Where, maybe if you get, if you can manage to, say, unite all of Westeros under your control, maybe then go back to Valyria and get more of that fancy Valyrian steel. Or maybe you decide to play as the part of the south. I think it was the land of Dorne.
Yeah, Dorne is I believe northwest or northeast of Westeros.
I thought Dorne was to their south.
No, south is that other continent that they haven't done any of the stories in, but they have lore for. Oh no, it's northeast, I think, because no one knows what's west of Westeros, that kind of thing.
Alright, but maybe you decide to play as Dorne and take over, playing as Dorne, invade Westeros. But yeah, I think a grand strategy game for Game of Thrones would be perfectly fine. There's plenty of precedence with it, with all these mods for all these other grand strategy games. So hey, why not just make a game like that? That and the open world game set in the north would, or the northern part of Westeros, would also be kind of interesting. But other than that, I can't really think of too many other ideas. So I guess that's it for me.
Give me a second. Okay, so sorry about that. Was in the middle of deciding if I wanted to add a brownie to my salad order. Yes, I order salad from pizza places. They're insanely huge for the price. Don't fucking fight me.
Oh no, I've seen them.
Fucking Baracos, holy shit. Like, there's over a fistful of chicken. My grown-ass bear claw man hand full of chicken. No, it's not a chicken salad. It just includes it. Anyways. Alright, so I think what's going to happen with this loot box shit, or at least X-ray loot box, is that they're just going to piss everyone off. And then they're going to be in a situation where their games literally get completely banned, or that company loses their ability to be trusted or not interrogated by the local government and the international governments just based on their behavior. They're fucking wrong. It's disgusting. If you like money so much, why don't you just make a good game so we'll buy it and then make DLC so we'll actually want to buy it? Fuck out of here. Games as a service. No, just say MMO. You want to turn the entire industry into a string of MMOs, but that doesn't make sense because if you fucking do that, then less games come out. But you always want to make new games and get more profit over profit over profit. Like it's a completely, besides derogatory, incoherent system. And people wonder why the independent market can do so well as it does. Somebody go look up how much money Angry Birds has made since it came out for me. Yeah. Anyways, they're wrong. They just need to be stopped. The next generation of console is fast approaching and all that shit. Okay, so I think when we start getting to PlayStation 6, we will see a new format utilized. The main reason we even went to Blu-ray wasn't because, it can allow for higher resolutions. No. It was because it had higher data storage and it wasn't necessarily expensive to produce. Of course, they charge out the ass for it, but yeah, that's expected at this point.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So everyone's trying to have 8K crap. And even though I legitimately feel like it's completely unnecessary, and I do mean unnecessary, the disc will always install something. So if the size of the area and the size of the cinematography and the audio keeps expanding, the installs will take longer and longer and longer and longer and longer and longer. Some of these games, they don't even come off the disc complete. What was it? 3 or 4 Call of Duties ago? The disc is like 45 gigs, but the only way to play the game and actually get it to run is after you buy the game and get the disc. You got to install like over 100 gigabytes. I forgot which one that was, but you see my point. And mind you, that's just them rushing it, not compressing it, or just doing a slop job. Yeah, I said it. So I'm sitting up here thinking, quite literally, they're going to have to come up with a new system, or they may go back to an old system. Because remember, much like with the vinyl boom that's happening right now, vinyl didn't change overnight. The only thing that's happened is that people, or at least big corporations, forget, and people haven't learned with technology. Just because new technology shows up does not mean old technology is obsolete. Sometimes something costs too damn much and there was a cheaper option. If we made,
Your vinyl is actually like allows for some really high quality sound recorded on it.
Well, vinyl was never shit audio. The problem is that speaker technology wasn't good enough to, fully bring it, display it unless, you had a shit ton of money back in the day. But as we all know, with audio, quality shrinks. And what really happens is, when the level of quality or the money you have to pay, the price point for it shrinks, what happens is people still have shit headphones. So they don't realize that the improvement is there or not sometimes. But anyways, it's the same with that. Think about it. If we made a floppy again today, a brand new type of floppy, at a bare minimum, that thing will probably be able to do over 30 gigabytes. What I think is going to happen is CD is going to get eradicated and it will truly become obsolete. And for the record, because people don't understand the difference between a general term and a product sometimes, when I say CD, I mean a literal compact disc is going to become obsolete. And DVDs, as old as they are, will become the new CD. Because that way it can hold higher audio quality. Also, for those who want to get CD players and shit, there's nothing stopping a CD player manufacturer from making a brand new eye that allows you to read DVD audio and CD audio simultaneously. There were already some CD players, and they're very rare and hard to find. Like most of the ones I came across don't even come out in America, that can read and play audio on everything from CD all the way up to a Blu-ray type of disc. Well, actually not. Oh no, not Blu-ray. HD DVD disc, which I don't know if anybody remembers that. It was weird. It didn't last long. Format wars, all that jazz. So, excuse me. I think we're going to use a cartridge again, but they're going to make it so at a certain size and width, and basically have it set up to basically be some form of a USB socket type situation. Or they might do what the traditional cartridges always did, and they use gold trim connectors for the system to read the data off of them. Because seriously, it's not expensive to do anymore. It's really not. And imagine how much more real estate you get inside a physical system when the CD tray is completely removed. There's literally no spinning parts, SSD hard drive, all that good shit. I think we may get a secondary 3D graphic card to go along with our regular graphic card, so that way 3D gaming can finally, be officialized instead of just being the redhead stepchild of video gaming. We know you're there. We know you exist. We just don't acknowledge you very often. Seriously, think about it. 3D video gaming for cheap has been around for almost 20 years. Now, who here can actually name a good-ass 3D video game outside of that one time Sonic Generations and Resident Evil 5 were in 3D? Don't worry, I'll wait.
I honestly can't think of one.
Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. I will stand by this till the day I die.
That shit was in 3D?
What do you mean by 3?
I mean, you need glasses to see everything 3D.
Oh, never mind.
That was a good game though, not gonna lie. Wasn't expecting it to be that good. It was almost weird that it was that good. But yeah, I digress. All right. So those are the only two I can name. And the other ones, and there's again only like 2 or 3, Super Hot, Beat Saber, and I forgot the third one. Those are all games that are specifically 100% VR. So we literally skipped over 3D gaming and went to VR almost. Like outside of the 3DS, which new models gave up on it, real talk, it's gone. It's like it was never even there in the first place. And this ain't the first time. We need to figure something out. We really do. But I think the biggest issue with it mainly is just that it's because traditional TVs, smart TVs, and monitors almost exclusively gave up on them at like 2014 and 2015. Because every new TV I've seen, except for one, that wasn't even a TV, it was legit made for gaming, like a desktop display, fucks with 3D. I don't know why. It just be like that. It be like that. You have my condolences, 3D. You really do. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking, or they could use it for emergency RAM. They could use it for an extra processor. Just if the disc tray is gone, not that I hate disc, we gain so much more. So much more. All right, next topic. Number 3. What was it? We've learned a very small installation. Okay. So as far as the brain chip thing, or the brain interpreter, whatever you want to call it, the way I see it, it's entirely doable, or rather it's entirely possible. But here's the catch I want to add to it. There's been no, and I do mean I've looked for it, there's been no articles or estimates anywhere, even from the companies introducing this shit whatsoever, that this shit is fucking what the cost is going to be. Has anybody else seen the cost? Like how much it's going to cost? Oh yeah, let me install this shit inside of you. Man, that came out all kinds of wrong. I apologize. So I'm just over here like, real talk, guys. This is cheap, or so they say. And notice how I say so they say. And this is totally doable. But here's what I'm trying to get at. They haven't told us a price point. They haven't told us if they're working with any entertainment software or hardware companies to make this more universal. We all know how technology starts off. The rich people get the shit first, and after the rich people get it, a couple years later, because of competition, the price goes down and it disseminates to the rest of the masses. OLED TVs came out. They didn't get cheap till 2 years after they came out. Why? Because all the rich people had to buy that shit so it can make a profit for them to want to make more units. You know?
Sounds about right.
So, fucking... Hold on a second. Please bring me 2 menus with my order. I'm thinking the way things are going to work... let go of the button. The way things are going to work is there's going to have to be a new division or a new company in particular that specializes in that transition from this stuff happening to being utilized for video games. Okay? Because as it stands right now, the options are there. Can you imagine how many people are just going to become that much better at fighting it? Not even better, faster at fighting games just because literally, their hands don't have to do shit no more.
The speed of thought's pretty quick, yeah.
Speaking of thoughts, I don't want to think about how people are going to play Dead or Alive when that shit comes out.
In fact, the speed of thought, it might even like get to the point where the game won't be able to keep up.
Well, more like what'll happen is they can put in a trigger that lets the system know, hey, if you're starting to, the FPS is starting to drop because of thought, I want you to, stop reading or interpreting more than, 30, 40 thoughts at a time. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I'm a little bit weird when it comes to thinking during a fighting game. A lot of people say, oh, I don't think, I just play the game and I get good. And like, no. You are thinking, but the problem is that your thoughts are instinct, because people keep forgetting. Instinct is not the absence of thought. Instinct is thought and motion without you being aware of telling your body or the body to move or do the exact thing that it's doing. We've all had a fly buzz past our ear. I've never thought to myself, I specifically want my right or left hand to try to backhand that fly like it's Bruce Lee and swipe my fingers to get away. It's instant. You just do it. Am I right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, like, I'm trying so hard not to think about ultra instinct bullshit, but that's just how instinct is. It's the act of thought without you being in direct input, which, man, I don't know. I really want to meet somebody who's literally a specialist or whatever degree you need besides neurology, or is it maybe neurology that deals with your brain and thinking? Oh my God, I have so many questions. They're going to hate me or love me.
I'd almost describe it as like, rather than thought in motion, something like just, it's automated thinking.
That's what I'm thinking, but I don't have official terminology and shit. Some of the things I talk about that I know about or speak about, even though I'm not a scientist, just for future reference, I did my homework on, or literally I just talked to somebody who got a degree in it, because most scientists I know, they think that people don't want to talk about the shit they do unless it involves like something cool like cars or space. No. I want to know what you know because I don't have to pay for the information then. I know that sounds bougie, but hey, this is America. We ain't got that free education yet. Oh, but if we do, I swear to God, If y'all meet me in 10 years, I'm going to have like 3 master's degrees. I am literally that curious of a fucking person. I blame my mom. Totally blame my mom.
That's not something you should be blaming. That's something you should be thanking.
You say that, but you ain't aware of how easily it annoys people.
Yeah, true enough.
Anyways. Fucking, what was I about to say? Oh, yeah. So, yeah, that's how I feel about that one. I really want it to happen, or at least I want something around it to come to fruition in our lifetimes. Because, you know, one day we're going to be 60 and 70. Well, most of us will be. Some of us ain't going to get that far. But we'll be 60-ish, 70-ish. I don't know about you, but I'm still going to like video games. They're probably going to look 10 times better than they do now. But I don't want to be in a position where I can do something, but I die because my sciatica's acting up. Goddamn arthritis. You know?
I get you.
Yeah. So I would prefer if that, you know, we straight up we're in a situation of where something combats that. Because even though they're working on the slow anti-aging pills right now, and they're real. Holy shit, are they real? Let's be honest. Even if they make it to the market, you know that shit is not going to be cheap. You know that shit's not going to be cheap. Anyways, on to the next one. Okay, look, anime games. I play you sometimes, but I'm not gonna lie right now. I think the biggest barrier is the stigma, but the stigma only exists because Japan, well, not even Japan, but the video game industry in particular, as well as the animation industry, openly welcomes pedophilia. And we've had this conversation before. Y'all know how I feel and how I look at things. I look at them as they are, not how I wish they were, or making them worse than they are. But they openly welcome pedophilia. It's not even a joke, and I'm saying this as seriously as possible. One of the incidents we brought up earlier, and this just goes back to Naruto, which has come up a lot in this podcast, at least just for this one. Sasuke's daughter, what is her name?
Sarada?
Yeah, Sarada was openly it was openly sexualized in the manga adaptation for almost 5 months before anybody said anything or noticed anything. All the characters, because the original author and the writer of the story, much like Dragon Ball Super right now, the story is written and handled, and the basics of it are constructed by the original creator, but the person who draws it is not is a different person. It's not them. And if memory serves, he didn't choose the guy, or he chose him based on his style and talent and ability to mimic him, not what he knew about him personally. So a lot of people started sharing genuine screenshots and how it looked like straight up attempts at orgasmic underage pornography type shit about Sarada specifically. So then the original creator even made a comment on, was like, what the fuck is up with this shit? And he said it in the most platonic, non-negative way. So then the dude comes out and makes a statement. Sorry, I guess I did make her a little bit too sexy. Ha 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 ha. Sarada's 11. Even by Japanese standards, she's 2 years too young. Wait, let me phrase that. Even by Japanese legal standards that are only practiced in very few and small locations, basically Tokyo at this point, she's 2 years too young, because the government says that the legal age of consent is 13. However, you're not going to get consent from the child's parent 99.99999% of the time. So what's happened is, because the government even knows, and the doctors have explained to them, like, first off, having a child that young and also sexual activity with an adult-sized genitalia can be damaging, harmful to them, just in the crotch area, but also if they became a childbearer, because human bodies, or more specifically the female human body, isn't even really meant to carry a child until a certain age, not a certain height or with a certain age, without there being extreme issues and complications with the childbirth. In fact, even when you were 17 and 18, barely even a full 100 years ago, there was an automatic, I believe, close to 20 or more % chance of death at childbirth. Now, this is a bit of a sad story, but I don't know if y'all knew about it now, but my first brother, or rather my oldest sibling, my brother, Tremel Pearson, he's been dead for some time, but his own mother died giving birth to him, and that was just like in the 50s or something. But my dad was away in the military at the time. So his fiance died giving birth to his child, and he didn't even find out about this stuff till he came back. So, and they were of legal age, or rather a year from it, Some places have where age of consent is like 17. At the time, my dad was 17, she was 17. She fucking died, and she was 12 months away from adulthood or less. And these children that get knocked up, they are known, in Japan at least, if they're super young, they're known for trying to hide the pregnancy or even trying to hide their identity via abortion, which you think we got issues with abortion. Wait till you go overseas in some places. So they try to have the child, not realizing that it's almost 50-50 if they actually live, if they try to do, wet nurse shit. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with home birth, but if you are not at a legal, an adult age to have a child, there is so many smart reasons to go to a fucking hospital. There are people so stupid, not to get too off topic, but there are cases where some people have tried to sue a doctor for a child miscarriage when it was a child who shouldn't have had the child. Like a 12-year-old had a child and it was miscarried, and the parents of the child, the grandparents, tried to sue the doctor, and the doctor sued them for child endangerment, and the child went into orphanage or adoptive care of different family members. But yeah, it's the biggest issue they have is that they don't want to address their own problems. They'd rather have a spokesperson say something on Twitter. They'd rather just apologize and say they're going to tone something down, or they'd rather literally have a Japanese only dirty perverted version of something, and when they come over to America, change everything around, or pretend that they're going to change things and then release it over here. Yep, now we're back on DOA again somehow, because that's exactly what they did. Oh yeah, did I mention the new game doesn't even have tag team in it anymore? So yeah, fuck that shit. I'm back on 5. Fuck the bullshit. The combat system is more fun with tag any fucking way. They gonna learn about trying to cater to tournament people. Those tournament people don't make up a bulk of your fucking sales. Dirty old perverts do. Dirty young perverts do. And of course, people who actually just like the fights. Like I even told people, I think that DOA 5, or since I already tried 6, DOA 5 might be my last DOA, just because it actually is a good game. It's got tag team, and even though they released a metric fuck ton of costumes, it's a complete game. All the characters are available, and I'm Gucci. Oh, and they also got rid of the stage interaction that lets you fight somebody in the air while you're falling. That was the coolest selling point. I'm gonna fight you on a skyscraper? Nah, bitch, I'm gonna knock you off the skyscraper while I'm hitting you. They got rid of all of it. Fucking crazy. Anyways, because we got way off with that one. The only thing and way this is gonna be fixed, to summarize, with the anime video games with their reputation, is if Japan as a whole collectively acknowledges and fixes what they're doing, because a standards and practices department can only go so far. And if your developers and designers are actively fighting your standards and practices department, then you already know you got an inherent problem. That's what happened with fucking Tifa. They literally had to tell people who were designing Tifa on Final Fantasy VII Remake, hey, look, Tifa's supposed to be wearing some type of coated armor or a very, very hard chest protector. Do not make her tits jiggle in that outfit. And the fact that they even have to tell them that should let you know something. But then the same month, the designer of Tifa, or the lead programmer or whatever in that free fighting Dissidia Final Fantasy crossover game, gets an interview and says, just so you know about Tifa, I can't tell you what they are, but yes, they will jiggle. Motherfucker, are you serious right now?
Yep.
And I'm said that shit in the interview. I'm just like, there's a virus and there's symptoms. The smuttery is a symptom. The virus is pedophilia. And the worst part is that all these Americans will show up to the finish like, they can be sexy if they want to. She's 15. Delete comment. I was like, nah, motherfucker. You still think that way. Don't act like you don't. That's happened a lot. I think Matt, you've seen it before where people get mad at me and call me a stuck up or a stick in the mud because I say, no, I'm not attracted to this character no matter how beautiful. But you like big tits and blah, 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 blah. Dude, you would totally wife that. You know that's your waifu. She's 14. And then
I think I saw this like once, yeah.
Yeah, and then they'll sit there and try to justify that shit. I was like, that's weird. I could have sworn I typed, she's 14. You know what? Let me do it again. She's 14. And then all of a sudden the entire comment chain or the picture and shit disappears. Well, she's an adult dressed up as a child being sexy and provocative. I was like, you hear yourself, right? You're literally, when you have to try to find loopholes and circumvention around pedophilia, that should inherently tell you there's an issue. Anyways, topic 5. Okay, I've actually thought about this quite a bit. What I think they should do is they shouldn't so much focus on one particular quote unquote house. They should focus on characters in an RPG in a particular story or era of A Song of Ice and Fire. Like, for instance, when the Mad King is in office, you know, you can make the game about Jaime Lannister. You play Jaime Lannister, but then you get to a halfway point or he gets an ending to his story, and then you can play as fucking Rhaegar Targaryen. Whoever the pretty boy was that's the father of Jon Targaryen or the Snow Targaryen. That guy's dad. Those two. And obviously they both have their different endings. You know? Make it an action RPG system. You ain't got to just imitate The Witcher. Because first off, you can have some Dynasty Warrior-like moments with more people on the screen. I don't know about you, but the Witcher style of combat in a Dynasty Warrior game does not work. Yes, they're brain-dead idiots. And you could sneeze at those enemies and they would die. But when you get to the bosses, we all know it's a different story. I think that's what they could do. Also, there's room for a strategy game if you stop and think about it. But it would be a strategy game where your environment can determine your advantages. Like, let's say you're playing Jon Snow, and Jon Snow is the up-and-up noble fighter. So you're fighting in a burnt area that bandits set on fire and shit like that, right? So it's Jon Snow and his older brother, or it's in his older and his younger uncle. I forgot the second one because he died in the first season. But whoever Jon's oldest nephew is, that kid. All right, and you two are together, and it's a burning village that bandits are trying to raid, and they're raping people and trying to rape people and shit. So he goes and fights, and shit's on fire. The bandits are throwing mud, dirt, trying to hit him with pieces of flaming wood and shit. And he goes and fights them. He chops their hand off, which disables their ability to, throw them with fire. And they're also getting status effects. And then he could take them out. But let's say you're playing Arya, and this is Faceless Man OG, Master of Disaster Arya. Arya gets in a fight, and the person has got higher stats than her. She runs into the forest, and she becomes one tree, or she becomes Faceless Tree, like, because she got next to a grid piece that's got a tree on it in the forest. So now she can crawl a tree or hide in a tree, and the dude can't find her for 2 or 3 turns, right? So now Arya can initiate aerial sneak attack, which has a 100% chance of doing critical damage if you strike with her dagger or needle, that old sword and shit like that. You know?
Maybe even jump out of one tree, strike, and jump into another tree.
Yeah, it's just like some illogical, damn near ninja shit, because that's basically what Arya was at the end of it. She was basically a ninja assassin who just happened to be a tomboy.
Well.
So, and then also remember, she can do voice distortion. So let's say there's 3 of those dudes. So now the other 2 see him, and now they're using arrows and stuff, so she can't get in close because Arya can throw the sword, but if she does, that's it, nothing to fight with. So she could go and duck off 5 or 6 spaces and use her voice. She's over here. I got her by the leg. No, just some stupid shit. And when they run over there, boom. Arya was in a piece of grass that they didn't even see, and she got one dude directly in the heart with needle. And then now the other dude that ran doesn't even know the other guy's dead, but he's paranoid and he's looking around, so he starts setting shit on fire, right? So Arya sneaks up, and since she's losing cover, she fights him directly, but she did what the bandit did. She grabbed a flaming piece of wood, threw it in his face, chopped off his legs, and, just pushed him near the fire. That game would be so fun. But it would have to only be able to be done in certain areas. Because in eras in time. Because think about it. Arya, legit, didn't really come all together until the last 2 seasons. And in the last 2 seasons, technically, just going from season 7 to season 8, to the beginning of season 8, when Arya shows back up. No. Sorry. From season 6, at the end of season 6 to when Arya shows back up in season 7, it was only supposed to be about 2 weeks. You can't get a lot out of that shit. Because she didn't run into any trouble. So, damn it. Why is Twitter fucking always sending me shit whenever I put it on vibrate on a Saturday Twitter? I only get a lot of messages on Twitter when it's a Saturday. Anyways. And the last one is, okay, there's an Eastern themed version of an Eastern myth themed area in a continent that's, I think, southeast of Westeros. It's called Yiti. 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 And it's where any form of Asian mysticism can and does happen in the whole A Song of Ice and Fire ethos. Make an entire game about that shit. Because here's the weird part. You know how they say the longest night just happened and nobody knows why? Well, in the legends and myth of Yiti, who also experienced the longest night, they think they had a corrupt ruler that started the longest night. Talk about the day that motherfucker got overthrown, Talk about that shit. And they also had a sword down there whose nickname was Fire Sword or Light Sword, Make a whole entire Devil May Cry style action game based off of the rebellion and revolt of the Yiti people against that dark motherfucker, Or Braun the Builder, since he did so much. Talk about make a strategy game with a mini construction element. How many medieval games where you can build your own fucking castle and still do combat? But yeah, that's all I got. All right. Any closing statements, gentlemen?
Not really. At least for me.
Okay. Well, side note, there is only one collectible, or there is now a collectible that's not going to be featured in the premium versions of Final Fantasy VII Remake, and it is and I hate saying it, GameStop exclusive. And this GameStop exclusive fucking is just a metal Shinra personal ID. So you can make it look like you're an employee, which I'm pretty sure is something they released almost 10 years earlier. But now it's metal. So I guess I should mention that if you get the premium versions, you won't be able to get that little bullshit card. But with that being said, fuck Konami. And this has been another exciting episode of Token Games Podcast. I will see you guys when I see you guys.